Hello and welcome to another video, and today I'm going to be covering the events of July 21st. Again, I apologize for not uploading on the 20th, but it wasn't really an eventful day, just airstrikes, artillery. There was not really any movement, so I didn't feel it necessary to upload anything on that day, but today was much more interesting, so I'm going to go over the myriad of events that have unfolded and will continue to unfold over the next few weeks. So I'm going to start with Kherson, where we have news on the fact that it was a major strike that was on the Antonovsky Bridge, which is over here. I'm pretty sure it's this bridge over here. It's one of the bridges crossing the Dnieper River. I apologize for forgetting which one it was. Yeah, this one. So you see this bridge? This is one of the only routes of supply for the Russian army on the other bank of the Dnieper River. And that's a big problem for Russia because let's say you take these bridges out, then they're totally cut off from supplies. And I've talked about this ad nauseum by now. But now we've actually seen Ukraine hit this bridge, which I've anticipated for a while now. And the crater, I saw the image, and I don't have it out now, but it isn't really that large of an impact. Like, you could still move stuff around the bridge, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But let's say Ukraine continues on this path of, you know, firing on these bridges on the Dnieper River and on these different crossings, then that's going to be a big problem for Russia. But there's not much I can do. Uh, there's not much I can say about the damage because it was a pretty small crater. And besides that, in Kherson, the city of Nikolaev, the governor of the region announced that he will be closing like any entering and exiting from the city. So they're sort of like in a state of confinement to the city, and the objective is to sort of like root out any collaborators, like Russian collaborators in the area. And I think that sort of goes. Um, I think that this action is sort of indicative of the fact that Ukraine isn't actually going to launch any offensives in Kherson. The opposite is going to happen. That's why they're bombing these like bridges on the Dnieper River. They want to like eliminate Russia's capabilities to then stage offensives into Mykolaiv, and they don't want to have like these pro-Russian sympathizers in Mykolaiv itself when the battle actually occurs. So that's my opinion on all this. And besides that, we've actually seen some fighting in here. It is the least, one of the least deadly sectors, but over the past 24 hours, according to the Russian Ministry of Defense, the armed forces of Ukraine have lost 2 control points of the 92nd Mechanized Brigade, and 1 rocket depot was struck in the region. And during all of these strikes and artillery and all of that, about 67 troops were killed or wounded. And Ukraine fired 2 Uragan MLRS shells, but both of them were intercepted. But yeah, that's really it for Kherson. I'm going to move on to Zaporizhia, where the nuclear power plants, which is around here, it might be in Enerhodar, but the location doesn't really matter. All that's necessary to know is that some Ukrainian kamikaze drones hit the nuclear power plant. It's one of the largest nuclear power plants in the world, by the way, and I don't think that judging based off of the videos, the structure itself is, yeah, it's damaged, but I don't think it's out of operation. As of now, I haven't read anything about that. And as in regards to casualties, the Russians report that 11 workers were wounded and 4 of them are in serious condition. And the reasoning that pro-Ukrainian sources are giving for this attack is that Russia was stationing artillery soldiers in the area. They say that there were 500 soldiers, Russian soldiers in the plant, and they were firing on Ukrainian positions in Nikopol or in all these other areas on the Zaporizhia front. So I don't know if that's true. It might be, and if it is, then yeah, it will be within Ukraine's right to attack the plant and the troops stationed there. But we don't know. And just a reminder, this is the same plant that Ukraine in March was accusing Russia of taking over and attacking and causing fires. But yeah, that story really dissipated after it didn't really have any substance to it. So let's move on now to the juicy part of the front lines. So specifically, south of Bakhmut, we've seen some actual changes now. So what I'm thinking is that over the past few days, it's mainly just been like positional fighting and Russia trying to break through the stiff Ukrainian resistance. But now we have seen some changes that I have I think to be true, and I updated the map accordingly. I also embellished the map just to make it look nicer because there were a lot of glitches, and if there are others, then I will of course make sure to remove those and update the map as much as possible. So Novoluhansk, Russia probably entered the territory by now, based on fires that are actually showing. The fires themselves are actually around here. I'll show you. Look, the fires are over here. You don't see any fires in Novoluhansk itself, which is over here. You're seeing all the fires in this road area to the west of the power plant. That's sort of showing that the fighting is sort of shifted. I might even change Dolomitne to fully under Russian control by now. Maybe in the next episode, if once I like look into the situation there. So yeah, you have that. There's also the fact that Rashina, I admit that it was a premature call to put it under Russian control, but at this point, there are even like some reputable sources that are agreeing with me, at least on the Russian side. I don't know about what Ukraine is saying on this front, but they would probably dispute that it was taken. But it is such a small town that it doesn't really matter anyway. Look, there are barely any houses over here. It's not the hardest thing in the world to take over this sort of town, even if Ukraine offers stiff resistance. So I do think that the fighting is shifted towards Zaitseve over here. And we could actually look at the fires just to gauge some understanding as to what's going on. So I'm pretty sure this is Zaitseve. Yeah, it is. There's barely any fires in and around Zaitseve, but based on what I'm seeing, it's gonna take a second for the fires to load. But yeah, I do think that Rashina, first of all, by now it's 100% confirmed to be under Russian control. Also, Vesela Dolina, there's fighting inside the town itself now, and might be premature, which is why I keep Pokrovsk as black. But there are reports that Pokrovsk is actually under Russian control fully. And let's say this is true, then you're gonna see some attacks on Bakhmutske from here, and then you could see like an attack on Soledar, and that would be a two-pronged attack because obviously you have the attacks from the north that I'm going to get to. Also, interestingly, Russian sources are reporting that Ukraine attempted to counterattack towards Novokamyanka, Styropivka. They say it was unsuccessful in that the line is currently being held. I think the front line is around here. You might see like a more dynamic front line where like there's a lot of no man's land and stuff like that. And I understand that it's hard to encapsulate that fact on a map. I tried to do my best though by highlighting it in a lighter red. But yeah, the front line around here is pretty dynamic, and I haven't really seen much in Yakovlivka, according to the fire map. In this fire map, we don't see any fires in Yakovlivka itself, just on the periphery. And yeah, of course, you have the fires from Bakhmutske and the the fighting in Srepivka, Novokamyanka. But yeah, that's it. Really, it for Soldier's front. They're on the outskirts. We'll see what happens there. But this is another area of importance fighting the Soledar Berestove line and Bilahorivka. I'm pretty sure that's still under Ukrainian control, although it is contested. But the more important town at the moment is Rostove, and originally it was reported by the Russian sources that it was firmly under the control of them, but then there was some clarification, and basically what they said is that Russia controls part of the town. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that they control this portion of the town, and then the other portion of the town that is not under their control is it's basically like an open field, and the reason why is because all this area around here, you see, all of this, including this area, including including basically all of the town, all of it is leveled because that's understandable. There's been months of fighting here. So yeah, every single structure is basically destroyed. So let's say you go into this open area. You're a Russian soldier, you go into this open area. Guess what's going to happen? You're just going to get shelled into oblivion by Ukrainians. You're going to be a sitting duck. There's nothing you can do about it. So obviously, Russia is going to be cautious around here. They don't want to go into an empty town. There's no significance in that, and that's all understandable. Let's look at the fire maps around here. Yeah, so you see a lot of fires. Now, like in the center of the town, in the one fire, west of the town. Yeah, so that basically confirms that it's not fully under Russian control, but there is still fighting going around there. And now we're gonna get into Seversk itself. Before that, I just want to report that basically everybody's saying that there's heavy fighting in Ivano-Darivka, and then once that's taken, as I've said a million times, Zvenivka is open, so keep your eyes out for that. But more importantly, I want to talk about Seversk itself and the fact that I haven't really changed the front lines around here much. So the reason why is because the front lines have been really dynamic. There were so many conflicting reports about whether Verkhovno-Kamyanske was under Russian control. I think it probably was under their control at some points and was contested at other points. Now I think it is fully under their control, but I just didn't know the exact situation, and because it was like originally reported that it was under their control, maybe that changed at some point and Ukraine counterattacked, but I was not confident in that. But there were fires inside the town itself. Even now there might be. Yeah, no, there aren't anymore. This is the town, in case you're wondering, around here. And then you have the fires over here, and also here. And that's probably just shelling, but it does show that the fighting has shifted away from those specific regions that used to be contested. And yesterday, according to some Russian sources, the Kraken battalion, which is originally fighting on the Kharkiv front, and they actually captured back many towns that Russia had taken when they attacked the city of Kharkiv. So they are a pretty effective unit, which is understandable. So it's understandable why they were moved to this more important front. So they were moved. They attacked Rihorivka, and then actually reached Bilahorivka. And it was said that the fighting happened around the southern area of the town, but eventually they got captured, some of them, and the rest withdrew. And there were photos of Kraken POWs taken on the Donbass, not Kharkiv, which basically confirms that there was some sort of Kraken operation in the area. In regards to Seversk, today there was some video footage released from a um from the outskirts. I don't know the exact area, but I was previously looking at some options for where the video could have been filmed, and I want to see if I can find it now. If not, then it's fine. But it was around here in the area where I'm scrolling through. I apologize for always scrolling in and out. I don't know. It's just some habit that I have. I really need to get rid of it, but what can I do about it? Now, okay, I can't find it actually. Yeah, no, whatever. So, well, my point is that there was a video posted to Telegram. I think it was from RV Voinker, and I'm just gonna say it was around here. And basically, the Russians were on like this elevated like platform. They were in some building. Maybe it was like some like a like fuel depot or like gas tanks and stuff like that. So they were on the roof, and they were just like looking down, looking towards the Seversk front line. And you saw all this smoke and all this fighting and in the trees around there. And the trees that I'm talking about are these ones, the trees over here. So, yeah, the city's not under Russian control by any means. As I've said before, they're gonna have to fight for the heights around here, which they have been doing. They have been shelling this area. They've been shelling the city. And if I find the geolocation, if somebody else finds it at least, then I'll update everybody about where exactly it was recorded. Because I did think it was an interesting video. I'll link the video in the description. I don't want to play it here, but that's about it for Seversk for now. We'll see if there are any changes here tomorrow. Now, I just want to mention one thing about Slavyansk that might be a bit petty, but in Slavyansk they're starting to actually move a lot of like items away from Slavyansk and towards Dnipro, like these trolley buses, and that might just seem like a very petty, random detail, but just show that they're preparing for the coming storm in the city itself. And now I'm just going to talk about some more miscellaneous stuff because there wasn't really any fighting in Kharkov. I just changed the map to make it look nicer. I deleted all the yellow polygons because they look pretty ugly. Now, the most interesting thing that has occurred is that the United States will supply Ukraine with 4 more HIMARS, and they will have a range of like about 80 kilometers, which is pretty good. And then Lavrov, in response, Sergei Lavrov, who's a pretty sure he's a representative. He's like of Putin. He sort of gives interviews to the media. He's like a scope, basically a spokesperson. I might be off about that, but what Lavrov said is that um if the West basically supplies the heavy the long range weaponry, then the geographical objectives of the special military operation will move even further into Ukraine. And basically, he's that was an addendum to his previous statement where he said that the geographic objectives of the special military operation have changed now, not only including the DPR and LPR, but also including under other territories. So what he means by that is probably, first of all, Zaporizhia around here. And there have been talks that like Zaporizhia will be annexed by September. I don't know if that's true or not. Also, you have Kherson, and then maybe they also try to expand into, say, Mykolaiv, and then even Odessa. Maybe that's what they're referring to, and then of course Kharkiv as well. So I feel like these were probably already on the slate of the Russians beforehand because they were attacking these areas. I do feel like now they're just retroactively saying that, oh, we were just going to liberate Donetsk and Lugansk as a sort of way to compensate for the lack of a like concerted effort to capture Kharkiv and Odessa. And now they're just basically wagging their finger and saying, okay, so now we're actually going to try to take these areas. Or maybe I'm totally wrong, and all of the attacks in the south and in Kharkiv, it was all just a ruse to distract Ukrainian forces and take the Donbass. But as we've seen, Donbass hasn't been taken fully yet. So if that was the course of action, it hasn't been that effective. But this is still indicative of the fact that these areas that are firmly under Russian control now, outside of DPR, LPR, they're probably going to be annexed by Russia at some point, and there's probably going to be some referendum. And I would expect most of the people in the area to support it because you've seen like most people not resisting the Russian takeover, many people applying for visas and stuff like that. So I would expect the people in the area to vote for joining Russia with like similar autonomy as Crimea. Now, besides that, I'm just gonna talk about some strikes that occurred today. So in the Odessa region, there were some strikes. Specifically, what happened was Russia struck a U.S.-made Harpoon missile launcher in Usatovo. I don't know the location for that. I didn't look it up beforehand. Just know it's in the Odessa region. And sea-based weaponry from Russia's Navy hit the encampment of the 35th Marine Brigade in Dakhnoye. Let's see where that is. Of course, I don't have the actual location on me, but maybe one of you guys see how it is conspicuously standing out on the map. If not, then it doesn't matter. But yeah, they say that they destroyed this training base of the 35th Brigade, and they say that there were 60 troops destroyed, quote unquote, and another 10 military vehicles were also destroyed. They also say that in Kurakovo, which is in Donetsk over here, this this locality, that two field depots were struck in the 54th Mechanical Brigade. That's really it for today, and I'm hoping that there will be a lot of events tomorrow that are worth talking about. So, goodbye for now.